that he would furnish me with a letter to a young man named Sur Haji Palu, who was said to be the best man in Bagamoyo to procure a supply of pagazis. I dispatched my Arab interpreter by a dhow to Zanzibar, with a very earnest request to Captain Webb that he would procure from Tarya Topan the introductory letter so long delayed. It was the last card in my hand. On the third day the Arab returned, bringing with him not only the letter to Sur Haji Palu, but an abundance of good things from the ever-hospitable house of Mr. Webb. In a very short time after the receipt of his letter, the eminent young man Sur Haji Palu came to visit me, and informed me that he had been requested by Tarya Topan to hire for me 140 pagazis to Unyanyembe in the shortest time possible. This, he said, would be very expensive, for there were scores of Arabs and Wasawabili merchants on the lookout for every caravan that came in from the interior, and they paid 20 doti, or 80 yards of cloth, to each pagazi. Not willing or able to pay more, many of these merchants had been waiting as long as 6 months before they could get their quota. If you, continued he, desire to depart quickly, you must pay from 25 to 40 doti, and I can send you off before 1 month is ended. In reply, I said, Here are my cloths for pagazis to the amount of $1,750, or 3,500 doti, sufficient to give 140 men 25 doti each. The most I am willing to pay is 25 doti. Send 140 pagazis to Unyanyembe with my cloth and wire, and I will make your heart glad with the richest present you have ever received. With a refreshing naivete, the young man said he did not want any present, but he would get me my quota of pagazis, and then I could tell the Wasungu what a good young man he was, and consequently the benefit he would receive would be an increase of business. He closed his reply with the astounding remark that he had 10 pagazis at his house already, and if I would be good enough to have 4 bales of cloth, 2 bags of beads, and 20 coils of wire carried to his house, the pagazis could leave Bagamoyo the next day, under charge of 3 soldiers. For, he remarked, it is much better and cheaper to send many small caravans than one large one. Large caravans invite attack, or are delayed by avaricious chiefs upon the most trivial pretexts, while small ones pass by without notice. The bales and the beads were duly carried to Sur Haji Palu's house, and the day passed with me in mentally congratulating myself upon my good fortune, in complimenting the young Hindi's talents for business, the greatness and influence of Tarya Topan, and the goodness of Mr. Webb in thus hastening my departure from Bagamoyo. I mentally vowed a handsome present, and a great puff in my book to Sur Haji Palu, and it was with a glad heart that I prepared these soldiers for their march to Unyanyembe. The task of preparing the first caravan for the Unyanyembe road informed me upon several things that have escaped the notice of my predecessors in East Africa, a timely knowledge of which would have been of infinite service to me at Zanzibar, in the purchase and selection of sufficient and proper cloth. End of Chapter 4, Part 1.